They let me pick. Did I ever tell you that? Choose whichever Spartan I wanted. You know me. I did my research, watched as you became the soldier we needed you to be. Like the others, you were strong and swift and brave. A natural leader. But you had something they didn't. Something no one saw but me. Can you guess? Luck. Was I wrong?
This ain't good.
Damn. How far did he fall?
2 kilometers, easy.
Stay sharp. Gorman?
His armor's locked up. Gel layer could have taken most of the impact. I don't know, Sergeant Major.
Radio for Vito. Heavy lift gear. We're not leaving him here.
Hello and welcome to The Voice of Todd. I'm Tom, and this is a video I never wanted to make. As you can probably see just from the background, I love Halo. I still do, but it's clear that it has been mishandled since 343 took over. There have been times when I've talked about 343 in a negative way, and times when I've talked about them in a positive way. There's been times when I've wanted them pulled off Halo and thrown into the void. But let's be clear before we get into this. The layoffs that have been reported and obviously confirmed from the outpouring on Twitter from 343 employees, from employees all over Microsoft, and it's not just Microsoft doing this, but the layoffs are horrible. They're a business decision, but they're still not nice. And it isn't Microsoft that's doing this, it's Google, it's everyone, it's other companies, not just in the tech space. These layoffs are going to continue because of the current financial situation of the world. But it doesn't look good when it seems targeted at a certain point of 343. So my heart goes out to everybody who's affected. Doesn't matter what studio you work for, anyone who's losing, any of the 10,000 people who's losing those jobs, not that they'll ever see this video, but my heart goes out to them because I know how hard it is to be out of work, looking for work. Dealing with redundancies like this is not easy, and I hope they get back on their feet soon. But let's focus this on Halo and 343. I'm going to go through one, maybe 2 articles. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm recording this before I get in because I want this to be honest. But we need to talk about the future of Halo because it isn't working. It hasn't worked for a decade. And these layoffs and other rumours that we're going to go into, while the layoffs are confirmed, everything else that we're going to go into after that, and I don't want to talk about them anymore, is rumour. It's not confirmed. It might be true, it might not. But we're going to look at it, I'm going to give you my opinion, and I want to hear what you think in the comments. We're going to start over here on the Metro. Links will be in the description for this. But I thought we'd start here and then move on to the sort of the newer update of this story, because there's a lot to talk about in both elements, I think. 343 taken off Halo as single player content cancelled, claims rumour. Rumours suggest that 343 Industries will no longer make Halo games themselves, and that the core games will no longer have story campaigns. Already this is getting my blood boiling. It's not been a good few days for Microsoft, especially not for Halo developer 343 Industries, with reports of mass layoffs that have hit the single-player team of Halo Infinite more than any other. Although redundancies have affected all Microsoft studios, some of those have left 343 years ago have criticised the cuts, blaming bad management at Xbox and increasingly familiar acquisition for the division in general. If new rumours are true, it's one that Microsoft has accepted, with a report suggesting 343 will be taken off active development of the Halo series and will merely oversee other third-party studios as they create new games and content. It seemed increasingly obvious that something had to change at 343, given the problems they've suffered with delays, bug-ridden games and poor support. But if these rumours are correct, Microsoft's answer is to distance them from the development process, so the only thing they make anymore is the game's graphic engine. More than that, it suggested that the decision has already been made that single-player only content for Halo is no longer cost-effective, at least when made by 343, and that initial plans for story-based DLC for Halo Infinite have already been cancelled. 343 already relies on outside studios to create much of the multiplayer content for Halo Infinite, albeit companies that have an existing relationship with Microsoft and or Halo, such as Certain Affinity, which is staffed by a number of ex-Bungie devs. As you might imagine, this means additional job losses at 343, with the internal rumour suggesting they could lose around a third of their current workforce. At the same time, plans were supposedly beginning to form for the follow-up to Halo Infinite, as well as new spin-off titles that would be franchised out to other studios. This could apparently include new single-player games, but ones with a lower budget than the normal for the series. As calamitous as all this sounds, the source, writing in French in an exhaustively long Twitter thread, feels the news is generally positive in terms of the health of the franchise overall, even if it's disappointing for fans who enjoyed the story aspects of Halo the most. They also point out that in terms of multiplayer content, this won't actually be that much of a change, as the majority of content for Season 2 of Halo Infinite was already being made by outside companies. Don't want to break this, but I'm going to jump in there and say I think they mean Season 3, because we're currently in Season 2. Bathrobe Spartan has been accurate with Halo inside information before, while podcaster Anais claims to have corroborated at least the multiplayer aspects of the story. Obviously, we'll have to wait until there's some kind of official announcement from Microsoft, but at this point, it wouldn't be at all surprising if these rumours proved to be substantially true. So we're starting off quite damning. And we're starting off... It's this bit here that starts to make me question it. I can understand why they don't want 343 to make single player or the story focused element. Let's call it the story and then the multiplayer. Because Halo isn't really a single player game, let's be honest. The campaigns for the 343 industry created games, Halo 4, Halo 5 and Halo Infinite, started, in my opinion, very strong. I liked Halo 4. Halo 5, as I mentioned in my last video when we talked about Joe leaving, is a train wreck. And Infinite, I don't want to go into. I'm going to have to. This isn't a review. This is, again, as I mentioned it in the video we did yesterday, or the day before. I need to play it again. I've only played it once. But Halo Infinite is not the Halo story that should have followed Halo 5. And it was funny. I woke up this morning I'm recording this on a Saturday. I had a terrible Friday. Physically and mentally, I had a terrible Friday in real life, outside of all of this shit that's going on with Halo. And I was just drained. But I woke up this morning And it occurred to me that Halo 4 is The Force Awakens. Halo 5 is The Last Jedi. And Halo Infinite is The Rise of Skywalker. That's what we're seeing here. The same situation that Star Wars was in with the sequel trilogy, that's exactly what has happened with Halo. It's just sad that they haven't learned. They don't listen to the fanbase. The developers themselves, the higher-ups, the management who claim that they listen. Bonnie Ross is the easiest one to point fingers at. I don't just think it's Bonnie. Bonnie Ross came out 2017, I think it was 2016, 2017. Halo 5 had come out and it had basically fallen on its face. And she came out and said, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said that they'd listen to fans and that the missing elements would be in. There would be split screen campaign multiplayer play at the launch of the next Halo game. Fast forward to 8 months after the release of Halo Infinite, still without those features, and the split screen single player aspect has been cut. They don't have the people to create it. The mismanagement of this franchise has been enormous, and nothing really changed until Bonnie stepped down or was made redundant. As the story goes, she parted ways due to a family medical emergency. As I said in my video when we covered it, when the news broke in September, I still believe that that is the case. I'm not questioning that. But if that is the case, I hope that things are improving for her as well. But that change should have happened 5 years before. 343 should have been shaken up after Halo 5, because as Phil Spencer once said, if Microsoft mishandle Halo, they mishandle the Xbox brand. Well, there's a pretty big argument to say that they've mishandled Halo. And at point of recording, before we jump into the next article, which is the update to this, I'm going to be honest, if there isn't going to be any more Halo single player, I won't be buying an Xbox next generation. I am only with Xbox for the Halo single player. There's a lot of other games that I love. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of third-party games that I love, that I could get anywhere. But I'm on the Xbox ecosystem because that's where Halo is. You lose Halo, you cut Halo, you kill Halo as a single player franchise, I'm out. Because I've got the books. The books are all I need. If you keep writing those, that's the Halo story. Since Bungie left and the license was pulled from them as they parted from Microsoft, the best Halo stories have been in the books. And while that's a crying shame that we don't get to see and experience it as a game, at least they're still there. Let's jump on to the other article before I continue. So this is a much shorter article from GameSpot, just an update really. What's going on with Halo and 343 Industries? GameSpot News. A new report has claimed that long-time Halo developer 343 Industries has been taken off active development of the franchise, and that new games in the series will be created by third-party studios. According to Halo leaker Bathrobe Spartan, who has a track record of leaking Halo inside information, and translated by Metro, Microsoft's mass layoffs have hit 343 Industries hard, and will see up to a third of its workforce laid off. 343 Industries will then take on a parental role of Halo, overseeing new games and content while working on maintaining the game's engine. This isn't entirely new territory for 343 Industries, but as it has relied on outside help to develop Halo Infinite's multiplayer content, Season 2 is a prime example of this. But Bathrobe Spartan claims that planned story DLC has been scrapped due to it being considered not cost-effective under 343's stewardship. On the flip side, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier jumped into Reset Era thread about the report and said, "I ran these bullet points by a few people. While it's true that 343 is focused on multiplayer, the stuff about campaign DLC being scrapped is false. I don't think there was much of that planned in the first place. And a lot of this is either wrong or just speculation. GameSpot has contacted Microsoft in an attempt to get more details. Make sure to check the site for further updates. So that, again, it brings up, this is basically just summarising the article that we went through, but there is the Jason Schreier update. And it really goes on to show the further mishandled story side if the scrapped campaign DLC is false, but he didn't think there was much planned in the first place. Halo is a story-driven game. It's not a multiplayer-driven game. It's a story-driven game. The multiplayer is there, has always been excellent, and the esports side is massive. But Halo is about the characters. It's about the setting, the story, the lore, the past and the forerunners, the future of wherever we were building to. It's not about multiplayer. But if 343 are apparently going to create this multiplayer that they've been unable to do for Halo 4, and while Halo 5 was a very solid multiplayer, it wasn't very true to the Halo setup. Infinite's gameplay is excellent, but there's still elements of the multiplayer that's lacking. I don't think they should be trusted. Let's be clear. I don't think 343 should be trusted with anything of Halo. I don't want them to oversee unless there's a massive shake-up. New leaders, a whole new team, and the one person that I would have trusted to be the tip of the spear was Joseph Staten. And he's moved, apparently, and while I believe this to be true, I don't think it has been confirmed by Microsoft. But Joe has moved to Xbox Publishing, a position that he held previously to joining, well, basically before he went into Firefight Halo Infinite. Now actually there's two things that I want to talk about here. One of them is Joe's move back to the publishing side. And actually, is that so he has more reach and more connection with the third-party studios who would be making Halo content? If he works with all of the third-party or all of the studios that Microsoft have acquired over the years, the Bethesdas, there's too many to think, and my mind doesn't work properly at the moment, so you know what I'm talking about. The 24 studios that Xbox has under its umbrella, and then the others, the third parties that they have deals with for exclusive games or whatever. If Joe is back doing that, is he doing that for Microsoft? Or is he doing that for Halo? And he will drop in and help and advise and cultivate the future of Halo with these third-party studios. And the other element to this is a story that we covered back in the summer, I think. There was a rumour, and I don't know what happened with this, I missed the follow-up, but there was a rumour that the Halo development was moving to the Unreal Engine 5, and that the Slipspace engine that 343 developed after Halo 5 was being canned. That sounds quite true now, doesn't it? If 343 aren't going to be in charge of creating Halo and on active development, why would you have an engine that they have created for this, that you've probably spent hundreds of thousands on developing, but that's hard to use? Why would you share that when Unreal is a thing? When multiple studios have used multiple iterations of the Unreal Engine over the last couple of decades. And it's a beautiful engine. It's one of the best engines out there. Why would you have the Slipspace engine if you have so many different people potentially working on different Halo projects, regardless of them being single player, multiplayer? Why wouldn't you do it in an engine that everybody can have access to, can license through? It would make the sharing of assets, the creation of assets, the continuity of the games so much easier to do it in Unreal 5. It would further cement the future of the Halo art style. The art style that was lost in Halo 4, destroyed in Halo 5, and triumphantly brought back in Halo Infinite. If you can take those assets and build them in Unreal 5, anybody has access to them. 343, actually I'm going to go to the camera for this. 343 have failed this franchise. But it's not just 343. Microsoft have failed this franchise. And by failing with Halo, they have tarnished the Xbox brand. In a couple of days, in 3 or 4 days, there is a developer showcase of 4 up-and-coming Microsoft first-party games that will all be on Game Pass at launch. The next Forza Motorsport, Redfall, the latest chapter in Elder Scrolls, and Minecraft Legends. I was madly interested in this, in the showcase, what they were going to show. I had a mild interest in Redfall. I would have played it day one. I still might. And I will still be covering that conference. But right now, I don't care about anything that Microsoft are developing outside of Starfield, because Halo is burning, and Microsoft have let it happen. There's so many things that Phil Spencer has done for the betterment of the Xbox brand, for unification across all factors of Xbox. This failure lies squarely at his feet, because he's let this happen. It's on his watch that Halo has festered and burned. It's not good enough. The reason that Xbox is alive, that it's a brand that's lasted for over 20 years, is because of Halo. In all honesty, it's because of Bungie's Halo. And right now, Halo, 343, and Xbox are at a crossroads. Their future is uncertain. There is so much that they could still do, and while I believe, at this point, all this negative news is going to turn into positive, that Halo will be stronger, it will be more varied, more diversified, the campaigns will be stronger for this, the stories will be better, because they'll be handled by other companies, other developers, other fans who are passionate about this universe, who have more passion than 343 leadership ever showed. I ultimately think this will be a good thing. But it hurts. It hurts that the community who has supported this entire ecosystem has just been abandoned, forgotten, for a cheap couple of dollars on a bit of DLC armour for your multiplayer game that's now free to play. If you wanted a Fortnite, build a Fortnite. If you want a multiplayer game, if you want Apex Legends, but in the Halo universe, build it. Release it, free to play, support it properly, with weekly, monthly content. Make it strong, solid, and core, but don't tag on a campaign for Halo and then forget about it when it's not quite as good as it should be. We all know why the Halo Infinite campaign isn't as good as it should be, why it's so dumbed down, why it's missing so many characters, why there's so many unanswered questions. Because they rewrote it with probably 2 years left on the clock, and they had to delay it. And it was delayed and delayed until the console came out, and we still had to wait over a year for a Halo game that should have been a launch title. 6 years in development. The ball was dropped at every opportunity. I will play Halo Infinite again, and I will review it, but if I do it now, I will hate everything about it. I started this video with a clip from Halo 3. The thumbnail of this video is a clip from a Halo 3 marketing campaign. There's a reason for that. Halo 3 is the in-canon end to the Bungie timeline of games. The tagline "Finish the fight" gave us, the players, the fans, the people who love the story, the chance to finish the fight against the Covenant. And in the end, it was left open for more, but the door was closed, and Bungie left. They didn't, they made Halo Reach, but for the future of Halo, Halo 3 was their last entry. And honestly, it is still the perfect ending for Halo. But that advertising campaign taught me one thing. With a hero like Master Chief, all you need to do is believe.
Yeah, you're not.
Crazy fool. Why do you always jump? One of these days, you're gonna land on something as stubborn as you are. And I don't do bits and pieces.